What up, what up, what up, entourage? So good to see everyone in my imagination. Your favorite video, buy, sell, hold. Starting to get a hang of, being in frame and stuff like this. If you guys saw my setup, you'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But it's all part of the grind. It's all part of the journey. And I enjoy it. I enjoy being here with all of you guys. And I thank you for joining me today about trades. Well, guys, let's get into it. The fantasy football entourage for winning. All right, entourage. Well, if you guys are interested in the complete trade target list, just hit me up. fantasyfootballrapper@gmail.com. $20 will get you the premium content, 4 emails a week, guys. And that'll include the buy, sell, holds, the complete list. Right now, we're going to break down a couple of my favorite buys, sells, and holds. So you always stay ahead of the game. All right. And my first buy is Diontae Johnson. I even saw people were dropping this guy. I don't know what is wrong with these people, but I've been repeating this over and over. Follow the volume. Even the last game that he left early, Juju, he still has more targets than Juju. And, I've just been watching these Steeler games, and Ben, it seems like he's looking for Diontae Johnson on every single throw. And he gets the underneath throws. He also gets the deep targets as well, which is what Juju is not getting, which is why I had Juju on my sell list last week, and it has a lot to do with Diontae Johnson. Now, maybe Diontae Johnson, being a bigger threat will help Juju, later on in the season. But for right now, it looks like Diontae Johnson's the guy. Remember, I'm always looking for that value play. And if in some leagues he's been dropped and, we haven't seen him play now in 2 weeks, which is a big advantage if you're trying to take advantage of owners, and everybody seems to go with that recency bias. So absolutely love Diontae Johnson. I think he has wide receiver 1 upside. He showed some of that upside in week 2, and I expect more games like that moving forward. Okay. So Diontae Johnson, let's get him ahead before he breaks out, because it's going to happen. Definitely going to happen. So my next buy now is a name you guys know all too well, but sometimes, people don't get it to the first, second, third, fourth, 100th time. Antonio Gibson, guys. He was going to be on my buy list anyway because, usually I try to tell you guys to get players coming off a bad game that I have faith in. But even with Antonio Gibson coming off a good game where he had 20 points against Baltimore Ravens, this is not a team that just lets any running back come in there and do their thing. And he did that. And now we found out earlier that Kyle Allen's going to be the quarterback. Now, Kyle Allen is nothing special, but for Antonio Gibson, he is very special. And that's because he targeted Christian McCaffrey, who they compared Antonio Gibson to. Antonio Gibson is probably a better receiver because he was actually a receiver in college. He peppered him with 110 targets. So that's what bad quarterbacks do. That's why I like, I shouldn't have. Well, I like Jonathan Taylor. He's my other buy. But let's finish up on Antonio Gibson. So bad quarterbacks, like I was saying, tend to target their running backs, okay? Kyle Allen's a bad quarterback, but he's still better than Dwayne Haskins, and he knows that system. So it's like the perfect storm. Opportunity meets talent, talent being Antonio Gibson, not Kyle Allen. So, and he's already been getting, that's the thing that has impressed me the most about Antonio Gibson. I didn't think he was going to get this many carries. I didn't even think he was going to be a 3-down back. I thought there was a possibility because of his physique, but being that he only had 33 carries and he's already has multiple games with double-digit carries, the snap percentage is not there, but believe it, guys. Believe me when I tell you, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And even with that sub 50% snap percentage, he had 20 points against the Baltimore Ravens. So it's only uphill from here on out. This might be your last opportunity. And like I say, when we're talking about special players, I don't mind overpaying. Because well, I'm kind of foreshadowing here, but he is a top 10 running back for me the rest of the season. Okay. Another guy I alluded to, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor just has a beautiful schedule. Besides being super talented, now I think game flow kind of messed him up, although I can't explain Jeff Wilkins being part of the show, but hey, well, let's be happy they're preserving him, but not every game they're going to be ahead, and his schedule is just lovely. Let me bring it up here. Green Bay, Las Vegas, Detroit. I mean, he's got a running back's dream of a schedule. Houston. So all these teams that are bad against running backs, they got Jonathan Taylor. Here's the other thing about running backs, guys. I mentioned this yesterday in my video. Make sure you guys are doing the recaps because I went in yesterday. It was like 1 hour straight just giving it to you, breaking down all the games. And the games tend to get more defensive as the season goes on. The offense has a big advantage. Not only that, but the weather starts cooling. That doesn't affect Indianapolis Colts, but they'll eventually have to go on the road. Although most of the teams I just mentioned are playing domes. But either way, it becomes more defensive. The running game becomes more prevalent in the second half of the years because quarterbacks are not just, able to sling it. The defenses have caught up. They're used to playing. The NFL is a very fast game. And when you haven't, dealt with a Patrick Mahomes or, an Amari Cooper or somebody like that, that's why you see all these receivers going nuts. But traditionally, that starts to settle down. Running backs become more prevalent. And Jonathan Taylor, talent meets opportunity, and the schedule is the perfect storm, especially coming off a subpar game. Because even owners that, are high on him, they might have a little bit of, unease, especially since you had two other running backs be so heavily part of a game script, and he played, I believe, either less than or just about 50% of the snaps. Okay, so Deontay Johnson, Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor's are great buys. All right, now for myself, Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon, he's the number 7 running back in fantasy football. Like, just pitch that to everybody. And he's in a position of need. How many owners don't need a running back? Probably this week. This might be your last. Well, I'll promise you this. He's never going to have more value than the 7th best running back in fantasy football. He's going to be one of those outliers that people talk about. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're going to look back at this next year, and you guys knew Jerick McKinnon was number 7. So there's nothing to like about this situation if you're a McKinnon owner other than the fact that you could sell him. Why? Because Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back. So he was playing with Nick Mullins. And what I tell you about bad quarterbacks, where do they usually go? Running backs, 8 targets. Tight end, 15 targets for Kittle. Okay. Now, Jimmy's not a great quarterback either, and he's going to be doing a lot of dump passes. But you also got Debo was on a snap count. Expect that to change. Kittle, first game back, he still had 15 targets, and he's their lead guy. Okay. McKinnon, the last 2 games, averaging less than 4 yards per carry. Okay. And I haven't yet stated the obvious. You guys know where I'm going with this. The injury history. Guy gets injured all the freaking time. Even his first game, he got a bruised rib or something. That's not a big deal, but I don't have faith in this guy. So sell high. You got Raheem Mostert coming back. Coleman might, get some snaps as well. So he's more of a pass catching back. And because, like I mentioned, the carries last 2 games really didn't do much. Really hasn't done much in the running game other than a huge play against the Jets. So, and that just inflated. That's why I say numbers lie, guys. His yards per carry, you would say, well, Rapper, McKinnon's yards per carry is 5.7. Yeah, it's 5.7 because one of those carries was a 60-yard run. First game, he had like 3 carries. Did good. He had 1 big run the first game, too. And then the last 2 games, he stunk it up. But when you include 2 stinkers in a game where he averaged like 15 yards per carry, that's why I say numbers lie, and that's why I'm not a numbers guy. And that's why I tell you guys, go after guys like Deontay Johnson, because if you look at him, you'll be like, Rapper, Deontay Johnson hasn't done nothing. He hasn't won a big game, blah, 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 blah. But he looks good. Not only does he look good, he's getting targets, okay? So sometimes We gotta look beyond the numbers, scoreboard watchers. My other sell, and this is a repeat offender. It's my first repeat offender. I'm talking about OBJ. Yeah, rapper. You told me to sell him, and then he goes off. Okay. I also mentioned this in my last video, guys. Don't bank on players doing good. Like, I see this all the time. I'll sell him after he plays whatever. Well, what did Ridley do on Monday Night Football? I'm not saying Ridley's not a sell for me, by the way. I'm just giving you an example. That he had a good matchup Monday night. He had 0 points. What did Lockett do against the Dolphins? He had, 4 points? So don't bank on that. So yeah, OBJ, you sold him. And then actually, I told you some after the Cincinnati game. So 2 out of the 4 games OBJ has had less than 10 points. And then he had the blow-up game, obviously this past Sunday, and then a good game against Cincinnati. I don't like players like that. I don't like players that either you're going to give me 30 or you're going to give me less than 10. Especially when people still love OBJ. He has that name brand recognition. So sell him. Sell him. See if you could get a DJ Shark, even if you have the package. Or here's what you do, guys. Oh, this is the perfect trade strategy for somebody like OBJ because he does have that name recognition and somebody could really think they're getting a great deal. Okay? So you could trade OBJ for a DJ Shark and a Terry McLaurin with the idea that that owner is going to think, if you package him with another player, and I'm talking about just somebody basic, somebody you got at the end of your bench that might have a little name recognition as well. So. But you could package an OBJ. I'm trying to think of a perfect name that would be at the end of the bench. But I don't really have scrubs at my bench, but I know a lot of you guys do. I don't know, Sammy Watkins or something like that. So the reason this works, though, you guys can figure out just a bench player, okay? The reason this works is because that owner has the illusion that there's not much of a drop off between Terry McLaurin and OBJ, or DJ Shark and OBJ. Some might even think OBJ's better, which is even better for you. But that's why that sort of trade angle will work. And then you got yourself a steal, and then you free a bench spot, and you could fill that bench spot with another player that has some upside. So I really like that type of trade. You know what I'm saying? But now's the time to make that move. You might even be able to get Antonio Gibson for OBJ, or David Montgomery, who's coming off a bad week as well. So a lot of people will think they're getting a steal. All right, and then my third. I've been accused of being a Julio Jones hater, and here's what I'm not gonna do. I said Julio Jones in the past has given me injury concerns. Now, last year that was one of my concerns. Okay, and obviously he played the whole year. So, but again, it's one of those situations where eventually the wheels are gonna fall off, and hamstrings are one of those injuries that tend to linger. As of right now, Julio didn't practice, but he hasn't been ruled out. So if you are a Julio owner, and I've been getting a lot of Julio trade questions, and it seems like he still has really good value. Because again, the name recognition. There's owners out there, and here's where you got to play psychology too. Because there's 11 other owners in your league, right? Okay? And maybe 10 of them acknowledge that the wheels are falling off, and they're like, nah, you ain't getting me, buddy. I already know where this is going. But there's gonna be at least one owner that remembers when Julio Jones just had 40 points against the Panthers and he took them to the championship. People, that's why Gurley still has value and stuff, because people have that euphoria, that nostalgia. As human beings, we remember the good. Same thing when you're in a relationship, right? You remember the good. When you're not with your ex anymore, you start thinking about those times, those Netflix and movie nights and date nights and this and that. But you don't remember when she was like texting her ex on the side. You forgot about that, huh? Well, same thing. Julio Jones, remember that nostalgia. But the truth of the matter is, guys, he's 31. And here's the kicker, too. Here's the kicker. When you're a player like that, and then your team is 0-4, how much of a rush are the Falcons going to have to put Julio back in the game? You know what I'm saying? So I like players that are on winning teams that have something to play for, because there's more like an emphasis to play that veteran. Okay? So Julio Jones, great player, but even last year, it took some injuries and a soft playoff schedule to really kick things in gear. He had a lot of touchdowns, which we never see from him. So, yeah, I still think you could get, and again, remember, I don't like selling players that are low, but considering Julio has an injury right now, he's still got pretty good value, and I'd rather get something. It's not a desperation trade like the way I feel about Gurley, even though Gurley, some touchdowns saved him, but he doesn't pass the eye test. But I still think, but you want to get him before you could get nothing. So a good trade for Julio, if you could get, like, you know, I keep saying Terry McLaurin, he's my flavor of the week. DJ Shark. Some of these players that are like Tyler Boyd. You might be able to get Tyler Boyd for Julio. Even Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, running backs. You could probably get Montgomery and another player. You should be able to get Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor. All these players I like, Julio might be able to get you that. He might be able to. And then you could get creative too. You know what I'm saying? You can get creative and maybe do Julio and another player for Jonathan Taylor and another player, like a position that you're not too good at, you know? So maybe your tight end is Blaine Schultz. This is kind of creative. Maybe your tight end is Blaine Schultz, and Blaine Schultz is doing good right now, right? And Higbee or Gesicki or Hayden Hurst are doing bad. Maybe this guy's got Jonathan Taylor and Higbee, any one of those. His perception might be like, wow, I'm getting Julio, who's better than Jonathan Taylor or Antonio Gibson, and I'm upgrading my tight end as well. But really, I would probably bet Higbee, Gesicki, and Hayden Hurst get it together and end up being better than Blaine Schultz, who's had the softest schedules. I mean, he faced Atlanta and Cleveland, the two worst defenses. So it's all about playing that mind game. You know, there's times where I will win trades and people think they just robbed me. They just robbed me so good because the perception is you could do that with somebody like Robbie Anderson all day. I think Robbie Anderson's legit, but top 10, I don't know about that. And, you know, that's where the whole sell high philosophy comes in. So who did I give you guys? So said, oh yeah. So that's for my sells. We got OBJ, Julio, and Jerick McKinnon. All right. Now for the holds. Now, this first hold might even be on your waivers because people do that. And I understand. I'm talking about Mike Gesicki. I'm disappointed. Like, usually I'm very, very good when it comes to picking late round tight ends. All over Austin Hooper last year and Dallas Goedert. Obviously, that turned out pretty good. Here's why I picked Gesicki over Hayden Hurst and Tyler Higbee. Because, and again, he might even be on your waiver. Like, people are super low, and I get it. I mean, maybe he's got one catch each of the last 2 games. But we've seen this before. We've seen players just be horrible and then turn it around. And here's why I believe he can. Because he's still running the 6th most routes amongst tight end. Remember what I told you guys, follow the volume? He's still super talented and still running out of the slot. But here's even why I have more faith is because eventually we saw the writing on the wall when it came to Dwayne Haskins. And I mentioned this last week. I was like, Ron Rivera said There's a limit for this guy. When a coach starts saying that, and it's similar situations happening in Miami. When they're already asking, is Ryan Fitzpatrick still the quarterback? That means he ain't going to be the quarterback much longer. As a matter of fact, he has another clunker, or they get rocked and they're 0-5 or whatever. Maybe they won one game. So 1-4. That's it. That's it. They want to see what they got. I mean, you got this like having a Lamborghini and you don't leave the garage. So they're going to want to see what they got. And rookie, just like bad quarterbacks lean on the running game, running backs, rookie quarterbacks also tend to lead on the tight end. We saw that with Joe Burrow. First couple of games, he was targeting, what's his name? The guy, Uzomah, whatever his name is, before he got injured. And then he targeting Drew Sample, and now he's got his feet wet and he's targeting more receivers. But rookie quarterbacks tend to lean on the tight end. Okay? And Tua is going to be fantastic. Everything you're hearing, even from Fitzpatrick, he's like, this kid can make every throw. Like, he's looking amazing. It's just the hip is a scary injury. But eventually they're going to drive that Lamborghini. Okay? And when tight end is such a cesspool that when you got somebody with that talent and possibly, have that upside of bringing in a better quarterback that's going to make the offense better as a whole, you want to hold him. You want to hold him. And some of you guys may have dropped him. I bet, Hayden Hurst, Higbee, Gesicki, been getting so many questions about them. And it's crazy because it's not like, who else is doing good? Like, I get it. If there was other tight ends to get, but if you're dropping them for Blaine Schultz and this guy, even Tanyan, I'm not sold on. TJ Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, you guys really think they're that much better? I don't know. I think all three could turn it around, but I think I like Gesicki most because he's the most talented and he still has the same role. He just hasn't put up the numbers. And he could very soon get an upgraded quarterback. All right. And then this one, guys, don't do it. If you got Joe Mixon, you waited this long, don't do it. And here's the thing. Here's why I told you guys to buy Joe Mixon. He does this shit every year. And Joe Mixon's the type of guy, like a Nick Chubb, like, CM. He's special, and he can overcome tough matchups. Because, like, people are looking at the schedule, and I saw it. It's like red. It's like Pittsburgh, Ravens, blah, blah, blah. But he's getting guaranteed 20 touchdowns. And guess what? If your offense moves the ball and you get close, a 1-yard touchdown is still 6 points. Okay? So if he's the primary goal line back, and now it looks like he's going to be featured in the passing game, keep your fingers crossed, he's going to get his 20 touches. And, maybe Zach Taylor will finally wisen up. I'm hoping. But either way, guys, how are you going to tell me that all this red that we see in the schedule is going to remain that way when we know injuries happen every week? Okay? Patrick Queen, Ravens middle linebacker, tears ACL next game. All of a sudden, that run defense is not the same without their middle linebacker. And that could happen to any team. So don't base your decision to sell somebody on schedule. And that's different with Jonathan Taylor, who I mentioned his schedule, because it's not like Green Bay is all of a sudden going to trade for Patrick McQueen. You know what I'm saying? But when a defense is really good, and this is something I'm trying to drive home in every video, game flow. Game flow, game flow, game flow. So it doesn't matter that the Ravens are, better or great on defense. If Mixon is going to be there, even when they're down, he still has an opportunity to get points, a cheap touchdown in the passing game. So don't do it, guys. It's gonna hurt you more. And here's a fun stat for you. After the bye week, the last 2 years, Mixon has been a top 10 running back. Then he was an RB6 and an RB4 the last 2 years. Okay? And that offense is good. Offense is good. Which brings me to my next hold, his quarterback, Joe Burrow. That's part of the reason why I feel so good about Mixon too, is Joe Burrow's going to keep these boys in a lot of games. They got weapons, guys. They got weapons. Green sucks, but Boyd is a beast. Higgins looks like the real thing. And my man Joe Mixon. So as a collective unit, add that to the fact that the defense blows. Joe Burrow is going to be throwing a lot. He's going to be in a lot of games. And, guys, first rookie quarterback ever to have 3 straight 300-yard games. That's crazy, guys. That is crazy. The only thing was missing was the touchdowns last week versus Jacksonville. That's because Joe Mixon had them all. Joe Mixon's not going to have them all. So he's already a QB1. I only see upside from here on out. If you got Joe Burrow, consider yourself lucky and hold his ass. And then the last hold I got here is, no, that's all of them. It's like Gesicki, Mixon, and Joe Burrow. Quick recap. Those were my holds. My buys were Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor, and Deontay Johnson. My trade-away sells were OBJ, Julio Jones, and Jerick McKinnon. If you want the complete list, guys, the premium in-season content, it's only $20. It's 4 emails a week. So a lot of time goes into this, like literally hours of research and putting it all together and getting it all pretty on the PDF. So got that. The waiver gems on Tuesday. The trade targets, buy, sell, hold complete list on Wednesday, which is today. Tomorrow I'll do my first rankings before the TNF game and then an updated version on Saturday. If you're interested, email me. I'll have my Patreon link if you want to sponsor rappers, $1 a month. I also have some DFS group, Secret Society. Yeah, if you do DFS, you definitely want to get in here. And I just started my betting lines too. So anything you guys want, we're going all in. You see the pretty frames. Thank you all for joining me. Much love. Peace. We out. No intro yet.